One of the first things I'll probably say about the Thunder one from Velotric is the fact that it does not look like an e-bike. The fact of the matter is it actually looks like a regular bike. If somebody's riding it on the road, you probably don't even know that it even has a built-in battery. It has pedal assist with class 1 type of a bike system here. But the biggest thing that I really like about it is it's the smart functionalities that we have in there as well. The ability of integrating it with either iOS or Android and get tracking functionality even knowing where your bike is when you're not with the bike. This is TK and this is my review of the Velotric Thunder 1. This is a class 1 e-bike that will rock your socks. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. We're going to start off with the unboxing and assembly of this bike, and we're going to talk about the fact that there is two different versions of this bike. There is the Thunder 1, which is the one that I have, and then there's the Thunder 1 ST. Slightly different design as far as the actual aesthetical look, but also different sizes available on both options. The last part is the Thunder 1 has the app integration where we have what we're going to actually get a chance to take a look at. And the Thunder 1 ST has some functionalities that are built into iOS systems. But overall, the experience between both of them is it's a unique experience where it's a class 1 experience as opposed to a class 2, what we typically have with the boost or the motor assist functionalities. This is a pedal assist, which means we need to actually pedal for this bike to help us get the performance or the range that they're recommending us here. But as far as the box and what comes with it, for the most part, you get everything that you need. But from the bike that's well protected as far as basically having not only protection around the actual outside, which is the box, but also inside so that there is no damage during transport. You get all the tools, all the accessories, and everything that you need to get the bike basically fully assembled. I will say that there is no basically water bottle holder or anything like that. They do include an adapter for the phone holder because, again, the Thunder 1 does actually have functionalities with an app. You don't necessarily need to have the phone on the bike to ride it. You can need, basically, once you set it up, you're pretty much set to go, and you can actually just have the phone in your back pocket, unlock the bike, and go. And yes, I did say unlock because this bike does support fingerprint unlock as well as proximity unlocking of the bike. The overall experience, for the most part, took me about 20 minutes or so to put the bike together, just to make sure everything was aligned correctly, and of course there was no tension on the brakes. And they do provide you the tools to be able to adjust the tension there in case there's any sound that comes up when the bike is basically spinning. The last thing I will say, these tires are a little bit thin, and the adapter or the actual nozzle where you're able to put in air into them is not your standard bike. It doesn't actually use a regular bike pump. You do need to buy an adapter to work with it, and if you Google it, you're pretty much able to find it. The tip portion of it, you just need to unwind and pull up a little bit, and then when you put the adapter, you're able to use your regular bike pump, and it should be able to get the right amount of pressure on the bikes, and you should check those every once in a while. But for the most part, that's it. All you need to do basically at that point is install the application on your favorite iOS or Android device. For me, I did receive this bike ahead of the official launch, but I took a little bit longer to be able to put this video for you guys because I was also waiting for the full version of the Android application to be released. Initially, when I first started using this, I was using this with my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and obviously the experience there was absolutely great. The biggest thing I will probably say is if you do need or require any kind of software or firmware update, the application is the only way to do it since that's the way it gets connected. The bike itself does have active tracking, and it does actually provide kind of like location information to the application so that you're actually able to see where the bike is at all times, and that's one of the biggest functional things. The charger that comes with this obviously has a very unique adapter as well that you can plug it in, charge the bike, and you can of course see the actual charge level right next to that fingerprint sensor that's available at the top. The biggest thing about the fingerprint sensor is it's a way to unlock the bike and use the bike without having to basically open up the app and connect via Bluetooth to do the same functionality. If you do want to track your ride, obviously that will be the best way to do it. But overall, once you set up your fingerprints, and I, for me, set up both my right and left finger, it's pretty much straightforward. You grab the actual handle, you put your fingerprint on it, it unlocks, and you get the ring around the fingerprint sensor lighting up with whatever the mode or the drive mode that you have. And as you know, there's basically multiple options. The white color typically means that you're basically sitting at a no boost, so the bike runs just like a regular street bike, and you progress through the settings to be able to get the different performance boost and of course acceleration. The build quality and the drive motor that we have in here are absolutely fantastic, and they are smooth every single time. There is no jerk motion, there is no I would say basically all of a sudden acceleration as you're pedaling. It naturally starts and it accelerates gradually to match the speed of the pedal that you're doing. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, because this is a pedal assist class 1 bike, you do need to be pedaling for this bike to actually function for you. Otherwise, if you stop pedaling, it'll do just like a regular bike. It'll cruise for a while and then it will just come to a stop. We have obviously front and rear brakes on both of them. Suspension is pretty much right there. The seat that we have here is a little bit on the smaller side, but again, this is a smaller, thinner design street bike. So that's one of the things that you want to be aware of. But it runs a standard size seat. If you want to be able to replace it or upgrade it from one of the other options available, you're definitely not going to have any problems. There are mounting screws for a cup holder and some of the other accessories that you'd be able to pick up. This one does not come with any of those, but the overall experience again is very, very nice. Let's go outside and talk a little bit about the experience and how does that actually feel with the acceleration and, of course, coming to a full stop with the Thunder 1. We're going to go ahead and start off with it off and we'll go from there. And I'll try to give you guys a visual indicator every time I'm shifting over. But you should be able to see that I'm not pedaling harder. I'm actually just getting more compensation or more power from the engine or the motor, I guess, that we have on this bike. And let's go. Okay, we're going to go to Eco. See it right there. We're going to go to Tour. Normal. We're going to go to Sport. Finally, we're going to go to Turbo. And we're going to go ahead and brake. Okay, so the biggest thing I'll probably say overall with the performance, as you saw there, as I was changing the different speeds, I was getting better performance and it was giving me much more compensation power out of the battery and the e-bike system. All the way up to turbo, and obviously turbo will be the best, but it's also going to eat up the most amount of battery, so just keep that in mind. I like the fact that it's lightweight, it's easy, it almost doesn't even look like an e-bike. If you don't see it, you probably don't even know that it's an e-bike. The biggest thing I'll probably say also is the app is really nice to set up the bike, update the firmware on it, but you don't necessarily need to have the app. As you notice, the phone is in my pocket, it's not on there. I can unlock it with my thumb. Once I registered it, it worked great. The biggest thing I'll probably also say that I really like about this bike is the brake system that we have in here is much more responsive than some of the other e-bikes that I've ridden, and I think that's the biggest benefit here. The performance here, it's really meant to be more of a road bike, so you can take this on the road. And again, as I mentioned before, just make sure that whenever you do get to a stop, say you're on a light or something like that, change the gear back down, or the drive motor option back down to 0 or 1, so that you don't accelerate with too fast of a kind of a push without realizing what's going on. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. If you like riding the bike, so you're still getting an exercise, but not necessarily putting too much stress on your knees, I think the Thunder Run really kind of answers the mail on that. Now, one thing I didn't get a chance to mention in the video is the fact that even though this is technically an electric bike, it actually weighs about 36 pounds. That's considering the fact that it's an electric bike with a built-in battery that you have to recharge. It's actually on the lighter side than some of the other e-bikes that we see on the market. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, this is a Class 1 e-bike, which is a pedal assist only. There is no throttle option, and that's going to work for both the Thunder 1 and the Thunder 1 ST. Now, the Thunder 1 has a couple of colors available, as well as the Thunder 1 ST. There's a medium and large on the one, and then a small and a medium on the ST. So consider the fact that between the two of them, there's technically, I would say the ST is more on the smaller side if you're looking for something like that. Now, the drive system that we have in here is the E35 Plus on the Thunder 1, and that's going to give us roughly about 70 miles, depending on the drive mode that you're on. Now, it does, again, 350 watt motor with up to 600 watts peak and 45 Newton meters torque as far as the actual ability to pick up on this bike. Now, I had the opportunity to ride this bike for many, many miles, going back and forth. I even had the opportunity to let my son ride this bike, and he really enjoyed the fact that this is a pedal assist functionality. Keep in mind that the battery consumption will go higher with the higher performance. So the range of 70 miles that we got from them is not going to be running on turbo speed. It's going to be somewhere around the normal to sport experience, and depending on how much pedal assistance that you're actually providing. Because you are able to change the gears on the bike to go between the different options. That does actually help where you're pedaling, but not necessarily pushing yourself so much. this still provides you an ability of getting a workout, which I really like about the system. And of course, that's a little bit different than what we typically get with a Class 2 or a Class 3, which is more intended to be able to actually provide you the ability not only doing pedal assist, but also the ability of using the boost functionality, which just basically lets the bike do all of the work. So great workout and functionality that we get here with the app. And of course, a lot of functionalities that we get directly on the bike itself, as it does have connectivity options that allow us to actually track this bike, even though if we're not with it. Now, we've seen other bikes on the market where they talk about basically proximity or theft alert, but very few of them offer you the opportunity to actually know exactly where your bike is. This is where the Thunder one makes it a little bit more functional than some of the other options on the market. You can actually track your bike even if you're not with the bike by just logging into the application, either on iOS or Android. Now, Velotric did send me a helmet. This is the Lumos helmet that they carry, and there's a few versions of it, and this one is actually the medium large. As you can see here, it does support Bluetooth, and we're going to talk about why. In the box as well, they do include some information about the trigger itself. As I mentioned to you guys, we have the right and left trigger, a USB-A, USB-C cable, instruction manual on how to be able to use it, and of course the trigger itself. Let's go ahead and bring this over to focus. As you notice, it's pretty much a straightforward experience. Right turn, left turn. And there's a small LED at the top, and of course the battery goes right under here. And then the main thing that we have here is different rubber bands intended to basically work with different bikes. So depending on the thickness or basically the actual handlebars that you have, this is going to work perfectly for you. For me, it ended up being the smaller ring, and then of course that just goes around and it goes into that little hook that we have on this side, and it actually has a pretty good grip on it, and it is a little bit almost like a non-stick material on this end. Now, they do also include some of these Velcro stickies. Let's go ahead and bring those up to configuration here. And that's going to be more like the Ultra visor that we're able to basically install here. Unfortunately, this is not included in the kit that I have, but overall it works really, really nice. Here is the helmet. Again, the color that I have is in black. There's a front light LED that's going to be the main headlight overhead. And of course, on the back, we have a few options in there as well. The Lumos name is in there. There's a USB-C, which I'm really, really happy about that. USB-C charging port on the bottom, and of course, the right and left signal turns. If I turn it on by pressing and holding the button here, it'll give it a second. This is it turning on, and it'll turn on in this mode where it's in basically blinking mode. To change the different modes, you press it once, it changes into more of a shorter blinking pattern, not as much as a high pattern. And of course, last but not least, it stays as an on mode. Now, the on mode is where you're able to use the right and left signal light. So I'll go ahead and click this, and you notice it's going to go ahead and communicate over Bluetooth to the headset. And now as I'm hitting left, I click it and it stops, and I click again on the right side, double beep, and I'll press it again. Single beep as you're listening to it, you'll know it's a left turn. A double beep will be a right turn. And of course, again, right turn, left turn, and again. To cancel a turn, you always press the last one that is actually the one that you turned on. If I keep pressing from between right and left, it'll turn between the two. And of course, otherwise, you press it again, it goes back into the main pattern. Last but not least, press and hold on the back, and this will actually turn it off, and the helmet essentially just runs normally. On the inside, we have very nice materials to protect our head. As you can imagine, protection pads all around, in the back, on the front, on the top of the head. And as far as the actual connection, it's a clip connection, not a magnetic, so just pretty much standard to what we've seen before. And the adjustment straps, both on the right side and on the left side, to be able to get that comfortable fit. And as you can see, it looks really good, very simple and very easy to put on. Once you have it on, it's actually not necessary that you need to turn it on. You put it on, you're ready. Adjust the actual clamp in the back to get that basic fit, a really nice snug fit in the top. And then for the most part, press and hold the button on the back, and then now it stays on. And of course, as I mentioned to you guys, we pretty much basically just go ahead and use the right or left one. And again, you can position this on any side of on the actual handlebars. Only thing I would recommend, obviously, is to make sure to find out which one will give you the tightest basically configuration on the handlebars, so that you make sure that it doesn't actually spin over or drop on the other side. The clips on the side will protect the actual rubber or the actual bands themselves from falling off, but you don't want it to actually accidentally, as you're riding the bike, to actually start kind of turning to the bottom, and then you have no more access to it. It'll save us from having to do the signal turns, but of course, you're still recommended to be a little bit more cautious and then use the turns when you need to turn. When it comes down to the app, it's pretty straightforward, and what you're getting here essentially is a very simple UI element or experience to be able to see exactly, first, how much mileage you have left, B, how much percentage of the battery that you have left. And this is again going to depend, as far as the percentage of the battery in relation to the mileage left, on the drive system that you're on. The higher you are, if you go to turbo, obviously the mileage is going to go, and I'm going to show you guys, as I see that, an example there, as I'm changing the drive mode on the actual bike, that the actual the predicted mileage left on the bike reduces by the performance increase. So it's obviously going to be able to give us a good reference of the more power you use, the less battery and the less range you're going to be getting. So the best experience is obviously going to be somewhere in the middle where you're pedaling with it, assisting the bike, but also getting the benefit of getting that pedal assist so that you're not necessarily putting in all or 100% of the effort. So when you get to your destination, you're not exactly exhausted. Now, although there's a fingerprint unlock and of course the ability of tracking the bike, one thing I will still say, you still need a bike lock for this, because at the end of the day, it is a regular bike that has e-bike functionalities built into it. My experience with this bike has been over the last 3 weeks, and I will say that it is by far one of the more enjoyable bikes to ride. Now, one thing to keep in mind, again, this is a class 1 bike, and I'm repeating this multiple times because I want to make sure that people are aware. Although it doesn't look like an e-bike, it functions like an e-bike, but it actually is a class 1, which means you do need to pedal to ride this. And with that being said, you're going to get a great workout out of this. It feels really easy to carry and even be on. And one of the biggest things I'll probably say is definitely make sure to get the right set of accessories to complement your experience. Now, it does not come with any accessories. What I mean, basically, there's no rack at the back, and there's no a cup holder. It does come with the accessories for your phone. And again, you're able to put it on the phone, and they recommend you to leave it on for about a day before you put the phone there. And of course, last but not least, is the enjoyment of being in the outdoors and enjoying something that is easy to carry. So if you have to take it up and down a flight of stairs to the second floor or whatever, this is not going to give you any problems. And again, it doesn't even look like your e-bike at all. So with that being said, I will say thank you very much to Velotric for allowing me to check out the Thunder 1. The Thunder 1 and the Thunder 1 ST are both available directly on their site. You'll be able to check them out. There'll be more information about both of those in the description below. But at the end of the day, I will say that if you're looking for a bike that will help you ride better and of course still allow you to have that workout, I think the Thunder 1 fits it. And the main benefit between the two, between the Thunder 1 and the Thunder 1 ST, for me was the fact that the Thunder 1 has that connectivity functionality that allows me to know exactly where my bike is. And God forbid it does get stolen or something like that, I'm actually able to track it. I'm also able to report it so that it alerts me when and if the bike is recovered. And the good thing about it is that I can actually track where the bike is even when I'm not next to it. And that's the connectivity function that we talked about before. A lot of power with the motor that we have in here, great brake system that we have in there, which is really, really nice and very responsive. Again, dual brake system on both sides. Obviously, the biggest experience that you're going to get out of this is the outdoors, the fun, and the ease of use, and how stealthy looking this bike is. Thank you very much for the support. Like and subscribe as usual, and I'll see you in the next one.